Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Got a couple of viewers here. Let's get the chat up. Let's see what's going on. Throw the overlay in. $10.5 million damage claim here in Rockville, Connecticut. We're going to be joined by a Mr. Ken Collins this morning. He's the man with the case. And it's a... I don't even know how to best describe this. Well, wait a minute. We got one viewer. It's early in the morning yet. We're going to try some new things here. Studio's been under construction. We've been jammed up here and there by our wonderful public servants here in the fine racketeering socialist nanny police state of Connecticut. So dealing with our cases here, my cases, personal cases that I never talk about here, has been putting a damper on progress here. But nonetheless, we are here this morning. We are still evolving. The studio is still ever changing. There's still a plethora of content to be published. We're going to be giving you guys updates on the Andy Pritchard case, the title laundering case, illegal seizure of people's houses through front companies and false, mortgage depots and things, loan depots and crooked lawyers, man. Speaking of crooked lawyers, thanks for joining us. We've got quite the story to tell you today here out of the state of Connecticut. There's a man by the name of Ken Collins. This man's got some very serious medical conditions and issues. For one reason or another, he had hired an attorney at some time. And basically, this attorney treated this man's credit cards and bank accounts as if he had carte blanche. And basically robbed the man blind. He's been hemorrhaging money since day one, I guess. I don't really know all the details. I've just gotten my head kind of around some preliminary information in the last 24, 48 hours or so. So I'm not going to go ahead and say all too much. These guys are running a little late this morning. I've got to try to talk my way through this airtime here. We've got John getting dressed backstage. Looking sexy, John. Let's bring him up.
This isn't going public right
hang
yet,
on.
is it?
No, it's not live unless you want it.
No, we are live. We don't
We
have
are
to go live. We don't have to be public, but we are public right now.
Okay, well, the case number, and this is what I've got the.
You gotta send it to Tim so he can put it in the background. That's why I wanted you to send it yesterday.
No, but this is gonna have a lot more stuff added to it. But here's the facts.
Call Tim.
Okay, and
Get online with Tim. Send up the link, and then we could talk through the.
Just hey Johnny, if you can, because I don't have his email address. If you can, just email him the link to join us.
I did.
Oh, okay, and then have him respond to that link with the case number and all that stuff.
allowed to use this
You
line.
can. You need
And
to
then I can build on top of that for
follow my
the
instructions.
future.
Okay, so Johnny's gonna get Ken, Mr. Collins, on board and situated here. We've got some bumps in the road this morning. We're going to get the case right on screen for you guys so you can look right at the docket. You can see what's going on. This man is going to win $10.5 million in this damage claim. That's that's the story we're breaking. It's a huge case here in the state of Connecticut, and it's very typical. What we're going to be disclosing and uncovering in this case, exposing to you, is basically what I would describe as typical sort of practice, typical modus operandi, criminal activity of Connecticut's finest. These people have the audacity, the nerve to self-proclaim, proclaim to be lawyers, and they're not. They're at the end of the day boil all the fluff and the perverted verbiage away. and they're criminals. It's pretty much that simple. So looks like Johnny is ready to return here with us. Oh, why is it like
Hold on
that?
a second.
Here we go.
Fucking computer don't run that quick.
Stop swearing.
Yeah, swearing would be bad, especially during the live stream, but we'll get through it one way or another.
No, we won't.
No, we'll be all right, Johnny. Johnny's off to a rough start this morning. Johnny.
I'm very off the wall about this case. I'm the victim,
And I said, talk.
someone's trying to
Hold on.
frame me.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, but Johnny sounds a little frustrated this morning. Got some drama here. Please consider researching 2 decades of HUD ETAL government corruption whistleblower activity. I'm filing a long overdue Federal 42 USC 1983 Bivens claim, deprivation of equal protection. That's Mary Bagnashi. She's here in the state of Connecticut. Her and I have been in and out of correspondence. She's got yet another huge case. There's so many big things going on and big problems here in the state of Connecticut that are just completely overlooked. Either that or nobody really cares. And I'm not sure which of the two it is yet, but I'd have to kind of believe that people just are unaware. You know, I can't live with the idea that people are aware of what's going on and just simply refuse to get involved. So Johnny's backstage. It looks like he is ready to join us here. He looks a little frustrated this morning. That's okay. We'll get through. We'll get the victim on. Johnny, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm 2 eggs sunny side up, unfrustrated.
Nice. Well, cheers to you. Morning coffee is always a pleasure.
But we had no toast. I had to suffer through a bagel.
Well, were there any raisins or was there any cinnamon in your bagel or?
That was a sesame seed. So
Oh, there you go.
all the onion and the everythings. I usually eat everythings.
John, Speedway, Indiana. Thanks for joining us. Mary Bagnashi, thank you. For those of you who don't know, this is U.S. Senatorial candidate John J. Flynn. We're going to be careful with the verbiage. I would say that his election endeavor didn't go the way as we would have liked to see.
Hold on. It's not over.
I know it's not over. Well, you know what? Why don't you give the people a rundown on, without going crazy with the language or being too controversial, give them a rundown on where you're at. How come you're not in our U.S. Senate right now, and where do you see yourself in 6 months? Let's just start with that.
Well, it's a very complicated story, but thanks to Tim Riley, we're on top of the world. We filed an injunction when we found out that the state was defrauding at least 13 candidates, and then we filed an appeal with the appellate court. Then we got 5 transcripts of 5 judges that were interfering with an election. And it's pretty blatant that, Judge Blowy was the Sandy Hook judge. He's the administrator. And there's a lot of questions about the transcripts that should shock your conscience. We found out that there's no chain of custody in the state of Connecticut. And we found out that though we are a non-verified absentee ballot state, that we are a verified petitioning candidates. Then we found out that there was an executive order.
Well, wait, let me stop you. Why is it important to know that we do verify petitions? Did you run into an issue with your 57,600 and change signatures not being verified?
Well, we were lulled into the idea by the Secretary of State that they would handle it. And I gave them all over. Actually, the first day I went was August 3rd.
Is this the same Secretary of State that took all of those petitions that you had taken hours and hours and hours to organize, alphabetize by town, by name, all that stuff. And then they just literally took them and dumped them all over a table, started shuffling them around, and then demanded that
on the floor and the table.
And that you, sir, you sit down and shut up. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that's what Ada Carini said.
Mm-hmm. Wait until we bring you that video.
Who, by the way, if you call her number, there's nobody there. So I don't know if
of course
she's still
not.
there. But it turns out that the Sikh guy that we are suing is also resigned, being head of enforcement.
Interesting. Well, see, as far as I know, we don't even actually have a official Secretary of State right now. We have someone who is acting sometimes and then not acting other times.
No, we have Stephanie Thomas now from Norwalk.
Is that new? Is that a new development? Okay, when did this happen?
Well, she got voted in, I think, on January 3rd.
Right. So up until January 3rd, throughout the duration of our midterms, did we have a Secretary of State?
Yes, we had David Kohler, the Assistant Attorney General, stepped up and took the...
Right. He was supposed to be acting, acting Secretary of State, but did it...
He was. Actually, he wrote the 7WW COVID exclusion law, which nobody knows about. And I have 4 or 5 of the staff on tape saying they have no idea what I'm talking about.
All right. We could talk about this election problem here in the state of Connecticut for weeks on end. What we've brought you here for this morning is a Mr. Ken Collins and his $10.5 million damage claim being played out here in the snake pit known as Rockville, the Rockville Judicial System. Tell the people what we're here to discuss with Ken. What sort of... How did he meet this lawyer? Who's the lawyer? And what exactly is going on? Why is he filing this claim? And what does he have to share with us today?
Environmental claim, and there's reason. And, I mean, the first thing I find most interesting is that he's a pro se litigator that might actually win a case. So, and the second thing is that he found an honest judge, he believes. So that's 2 remarkable things in Connecticut.
Well, let's, do we have the judge's name? Do you know the judge's name offhand?
Why don't I look up the case?
Perfect.
It's Ken Collins. Hold on. jud.ct.gov. And I thought we would have the number by now, but we don't. So here we go. Case lookup, civil, docket, search by name. Party name, Ken Collins. Dooba. It's an antiquated 1970s system, folks. I think it's not Discover Bank. Hold on. It's Stony Brook Gardens Cooperative.
Yeah, I see that one too. Kenneth R.
That might be it, but hold on. Let me look.
Bridgeport. Oh, Rockville. It's the one in Rockville. Martyr, Robertson, and DeFellis Law Offices v. Collins Kenneth. Last action date, 2/21/23.
That's it. Manchester. I'm from Manchester.
All right, let me get this up on the screen for the folks at home.
Cool. Appearance. Yep.
Share screen.
David. I'm going to look at the complaint while you...
Share. Okay. Can everybody see that okay?
Summons.
I got to check on my chat here. Good morning, John.
Martyr, Robinson, and DeFelice. That's the one.
Okay, so let's see, John, where do we start? Where is Mr. Collins?
He's the sole member of Aiden Technologies. That's true. And he's well insured.
Yeah, give the people just a quick synopsis. What's this all about? Why is he filing a claim? And what do you think is, what do you think he can expect?
I think he was sued, and his counterclaim is bringing them to their knees because they just expected that since he was deathly ill, that they would roll right over him.
Right. And now all of a sudden his health is quite good for him to
there's a case in
litigate himself.
Similar to this, where the guy had 300 million stolen.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now he's recovered.
So,
he's like,
okay, there you go.
My money.
Ken has sustained losses associated with criminal activities carried out by the lawyer, who has essentially, at the end of the day, stolen a bunch of his money, running his credit cards, his debit cards, basically hemorrhaging.
I thought he was up to $28,180 right here, paragraph 9.
Paragraph 9. And is Ken still joining us this morning? He's jumping on with us, right? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
What he said. I talked to him, and we're supposed to start right now.
Right. Where is he at?
I'll call him again.
Okay. Folks, just bear with us while we get the man of the hour on the line. We've got his case here. There's specific information in this docket that he's going to want us to focus on. I would much rather.
Hello?
Come on, we're live. You got to get on.
I just sent you a text message. It's, for some reason, I got DNS problems.
Oh, okay.
It's very strange that this is showing up.
Okay, so what? It's okay. I got you here.
Yeah, we could keep him on the phone. Tell him to pull up his information, and I've got his case right up on the screen, and he can kind of walk us through what's going on.
None of it up, right? None of it up. I got. Yeah, they all know what they're doing. I just can't believe this is happening right now.
Okay.
Well, that's all right. Don't beat yourself up over it.
Tell the story.
The lawyers, they called me last night, and they're like, "We've been trying to contact you and send you emails, and what's going on with your internet?"
Okay, so have him introduce himself and just tell us what the case is all about and what he expects at the end of the day.
Go ahead.
I got to try to get this damn computer up and running.
Read me what you prepared. Didn't you prepare a statement?
Yeah, all I got to do is get on my damn case and I can talk all about it.
Okay, well.
Well, ask him if he wants to give us just a quick rundown, a synopsis. Tell him we're live. Tell him.
I'm looking at the complaint on screen online.
Ken, can you hear me?
What the frig?
I don't think you can hear me. All right, so the idea is we're supposed to be looking at this case today. Mr. Collins, the victim, named in the case as the defendant filing a counterclaim, seems to have some sort of DNS internet issue or something to that effect going on today. Ask him what we should be looking at here in his case. Like, what could we focus on, just real quick, briefly, so my audience can get a little taste of this.
What are the most important documents in the screen here? The claim of hearing? The prejudgment remedy? You're still in prejudgment, right?
The most important documents are, number one, he claimed that he did not sue me and cancel his own contract out, which he absolutely did do. When you do something like that, you are supposed to give the client all his paperwork back, all the bills, close the case out before you open up a new one. He did none of the above. And
all right.
He was paid in full for his first lawsuit, which I never should have paid him because he did nothing about this case. All the work was done by his client, meaning me. His case was a walk in the park, and and he deliberately, frivolously, illegally tried to cover this up. He didn't go to the police like he was told to. If he did go to the police, he would have nailed himself. Now he's put a lien on my house, which he has no right to do because he's made frivolous allegations. A lawyer is supposed to hold your records for 7 years, not on a computer, all the paperwork in a file, and he has refused to give it back to me.
Okay.
Refused.
What's the lawyer's name?
Collection agency. They do not have a collection agency license. If they were a collection agency, this case would have been over and done with a long time ago.
So what can you tell me about Matthew Gordon?
Judge Matthew Dallas Gordon, every time I went to the hearings over the internet, I constantly said this is fraud upon the court.
You mean remote hearings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been ruled unconstitutional, if I'm not mistaken.
A live court. I agreed to go to mediation, but we couldn't complete mediation because the only thing mediation had to do with this was about money, not what he did to me. That does not take place in mediation. All right, this guy has stopped me from working, stopped my company from operating.
What's the lawyer's name, Johnny?
Told him he has no right to stop me from making a living. He has put in writing that I am running Aiden Technologies at my house, which is a false statement. Aiden Technologies has been in Suffield, Connecticut since 2004, okay? The stuff that was in my factory is in storage. There's been damage done to it. And he's telling me that I'm running the company out of my house and telling the court that. That is a false statement.
Who's Dale Robertson?
Dale Robinson is supposedly a lawyer for with Mata Robinson and DeFelice. Dale Robinson has been disciplined before.
Is he the guy that took the money?
He's the guy.
Okay. I see his letter from February 17th. I see some of the billing.
Folks, I do apologize for the technical difficulty this morning. We are going to follow up with Mr. Collins. We'll get this right next time. We'll bring him on the show. He'll be able to walk us through the case file and focus on the most important elements of it and break down the situation and the information in a very concise and understandable manner. But basically what we have here is an attorney running amok, basically stealing all of this man's money, disrupting, disturbing, and taking control over his life, it would appear. He's committing fraud upon the court, perjury, which is a felony. I mean, he's just one lie after another under oath in official proceedings. And this man is, Mr. Collins, is obviously one not to be trifled with. He's not a sickly old man that you can railroad. He is a well-prepared pro se litigant who, as Johnny mentioned, is bringing a lot of excitement to the Connecticut atmosphere, the environment here, because he has a real shot at winning this case. What do you think, John?
Well, you got to wonder when there's hazards leading to medical problems that should have been avoided. Correct, Ken?
Yes.
And legally,
I was diagnosed by many of professional doctors, okay, it's a fact. The environmental company that's been working with me on this since day one, which I paid for out of my pocket, my own personal money. The attorney was supposed to take care of that, but he breached his contract and didn't do anything but constantly attack me, the victim, okay?
Who's Mr. Zuby?
Oh, that's their attorney. He's the one that never showed up at the building, made all kinds of false accusations.
Well, what type of mold are we dealing with? Black mold?
I was diagnosed with Stachyboris catrum. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have to give anybody lessons in mold or VOCs. Okay. They know all about this stuff very well. Okay. They were written up by the state, okay, and the Northeast Health Department to completely fix the roof on the building to make sure there were no leaks. They were ordered by the state to do. They were cited for this. They were ordered by the state to do full remediation in the offices of the building. The office that I sat in for 12 or 14 hours a day. Okay?
Right.
Unknowingly over time. Okay? Breathing all this stuff in.
Okay, so let me just reiterate for the audience. This man lives on a property. This man lives on a property that's been overcome by a very serious mold issue. Very serious. It's been reported. It's been documented. The owners of the property were supposed to address this a long time ago. And ultimately, this went unaddressed due to criminal negligence, conscious, willful criminal negligence, for such a period of time that this man has developed a very severe, life-threatening condition associated with being exposed to this hazardous material, this mold. And that's what this claim is essentially about. Do I have that right, John? Like, that's basically it, right?
I'm looking at the inspect. I don't understand how they can continually inspect this place and not actually repair it.
Well, that's a breakdown. That's probably, I'm not going to pretend to know, but I would presume that it's plausible to suggest that's a wink, nod, and a handshake between someone in a state department that has oversight over this and the town department that's supposed to, the agency, municipality, or what have you, that's supposed to go out and handle it on that local level. They're just wink, wink, nod, nod.
What you just said.
Yeah, wink, wink, nod, nod. Oh, thanks, Billy. We'll see you over gin on Saturday. Those steaks were great last weekend. Right. No one's going to get in trouble. F this guy. He's old. By the time the court hears this, he'll be dead. That's what they're thinking. So it's almost reminiscent of what we saw with the EPA out there on, dare I say, the two numbers, 9 and 11. The EPA director. Don't worry, guys. The air is safe to breathe. Right? So everybody goes out there, the first responders get out there, and turns out, what's the truth? Well, the air certainly was not safe to breathe. And tens of thousands of people got sick and died because the government wants to do things in its own interests for time and money. Whatever's going to be most equitable is what the judges and the courts and the state and our municipalities and our winking and nodding officials will do. Whatever is best for their pocket, their career, their office, their time and money. It's never going to be what's ethically required or morally just. It's never going to be in the interests of truth or the people or actual justice. So, I mean,
the building itself in Mach 1 Industrial Park in Suffield, Connecticut, when the building was built, it was built under a residential housing permit. It is not a house. It's a building in Industrial Park. Okay? My company is not a residence. It's a commercial building under 47A11. Okay? If I don't want anybody in my building, including the landlord, I have that right. It's a commercial building. I will not submit to their lies of all the things they did to try to cover up for them and totally lose out, because that's exactly what they did.
I hope my audience can hear the passion and the tenacity in this man's voice. This is a man who's living with a debilitating condition, and he's still got the fire. You know, he's still got that burn that Rocky had training for the championship bout, man. Like, and that energy is something that I absolutely gravitate toward, and I think my audience can respect as well. We're going to try to support you best we can. What I'm going to do for you publicly as Tyrant Slayer Studios and personally as Tim Riley is try to go through the appropriate channels in that snake pit. You know, let's not get our hopes up here and be naive and think I'm going to actually be successful, because, you know, the state's never going to, you know, support transparency and accountability. But we're going to try our hardest to get our camera equipment and other devices into your courtroom with you, sir, so that we can properly document the state's response, the judicial's response to this set of absolutely unbecoming and egregious facts surrounding this case. And we're gonna try to help see this all the way through and make sure that you're successful in getting the justice and the damage claim that you're after associated with all of this mess, because you're clearly a victim here. There's no way to misconstrue that. That's clear. The breakdown seems to be between the winking and the nodding and the systems in play themselves, where we're supposed to go for recourse. You know, we have to rely heavily on the notion that these are clean and pristine systems of governance that we can rely on for justice and peace and civil litigation. Well, let's hope that that's the case. Let's hope this judge, can you name the judge one more time? Let's hope this judge is actually doing the work of the people and not the work of the weaponized judicial. What's the judge's name?
Matthew Dallas Gordon.
There it is. Matthew Dallas Gordon. Okay. Let's hope that Mr. Gordon comes through for us. And let's hope that, you know, he and the folks over there in external affairs up there in the capital city of Hartford recognize the severity of this case and recognize the rights of the people to document their public business. And let's hope it's easier done than said, that I can actually get in there and be your media entity and insulate you from any sort of falsehoods that might be published on corporate networks elsewhere.
Dallas Gordon wants to see my bank statements showing the money that he took and never reimbursed it to me. He also manipulated the trust fund accounts. And I have all that paperwork. I've been to the banks again. I've gotten it all notarized. It is plain as day. He absolutely did that. The other thing he has attempted to do is say, well, that doesn't matter if I sued you before, because you did eventually pay me. Well, you were supposed to close that part of the case out anyway. There was no need of that even brought up again under this eviction, because I had forensics in that building more than once. The real reason of all of this is I lost my liability insurance inside my company because the landlords did not go by that order and go to the town and get them up on the roof to make sure that building was fixed correctly and that remediation was done. My environmental company is very well aware of all of this. They've written it up many a times. They know what was in there. They've had contacts with my doctors. They know everything. And those guys are way above and beyond any lawyer that thinks he knows about this. This Mowen guy up in Massachusetts, he knows absolutely nothing about environmental. All right? That's why he never showed up at the building, because all he was doing was going by the lies that their client was telling them. And he's got no proof. And some of the cease and desist letters that he sent me, none of them were signed off by a judge. A judge would never sign off on them. I guarantee you that. And he was supposed to be at the building with the two landlords, and neither one of them ever showed up. Because if they did, the police would have been called immediately to escort the three of them out of the building for all his false allegations that he knows absolutely nothing about. You don't just replace a rug in ceiling tiles and that makes everything go away. My environmental company was over the building yesterday on the outside. They took pictures. Everything that was wrong with the building is still there. The building bleeds like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, it sounds like a hell of a situation to be in. I'm very, it's got to be, it's amazing to see how composed you are. I think a lot of people have taken a lot from the state, a lot of guff, specifically in the last 3 years with all of this C-word nonsense and stuff. And, people have been overwhelmed, we'll say. So this, in the average Connecticut citizen's life, I think would be enough to push them into a state of disability, where they're so morbidly depressed and overwhelmed that they can't fight. They can't do anything anymore. So kudos and applause to you. Applause and accolades to you for being so composed and finding the inner core strength that clearly here in your expressions and articulations about this case, that's something that I think is inspiring and should just be mentioned real quick. You have a spark in you that a lot of people are missing, and hopefully in your success.
I also have insurance policies that owe me money that I paid for, rightfully so, and I need to get paid, okay? Regardless of this guy, Robinson, who is nothing but an habitual liar. He needs to be reprimanded, and his license needs to be taken away from him.
Should be immediately sanctioned. Is there anything you know of that you could file that would sanction this man and stop him from practicing during the investigatory time?
What's the March 3 hearing about?
Hearing and damages to me.
So you're at the finish line.
To me. I'll read it right out loud to you. Okay? A hearing and damages is scheduled for the date and time above. All attorneys and parties must appear at that time and be prepared to proceed with necessary witnesses and evidence. No continuances will be granted except upon written motion filed with case flow not less than 72 hours prior to the above date.
Yeah, I see it here on the screen, 3:10:30 a.m.
Him suing me and everything.
You're getting close. Yep.
That stuff was submitted, was talked about. I read it right out loud in internet court, and I also turned it around. They got pictures of it. Also, the case that took place in Hartford on this case under Judge Shah, okay? Mr. Robinson didn't get things in time in housing court. He also brought up the fact that the housing court doesn't award money to tenants in housing court. I disagree with that 100% because the landlord's lawyer wanted me to pay them the money that they're looking for, and Judge Shah rejected it and told them they weren't getting any money. When we're in court, all this was for me to give them my keys back because they had problems with the fire system in the building along with the mold because they were written up for it by the state and the Northeast Health Department, and also from the fire marshal who was over there along with forensics, came right out and said that there is a moratorium on this building. And the reason there's a moratorium is because that building was written up, okay? It's not the tenant's problem to deal with this. A tenant does not have to mitigate their stuff, but I did. And it cost me a ton of money, a ton of suffering. I got no income coming in, and I deserve restitution. I am a victim of some very serious crimes. This is 100% criminal.
That's a powerful statement. Hey, one of the audience members is asking for the Massachusetts lawyer's name once again.
Let me see if I've got the paperwork here. I don't want to spell it wrong. I could care less. Can't stand the guy. He's a fruitcake. Oh, man. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You're doing fine, folks. If you haven't heard about U.S. Senatorial candidate John Flynn's 5G lawsuit, that's another case that I think you need to start looking very closely at. John's made some tremendous progress in his efforts to push this forward successfully. He's actually appropriated some allies as of late. Is it true? Or am I misunderstanding something? The state of New Jersey and the state of New York have essentially joined you.
Well, people have filed.
Okay.
Appearances of what's going on is there's some hot pockets of criminal activity in the state of New York that have come forward, mostly from Long Island, where they say that, hey, our governor got impeached, our district attorney got fired, and our state's attorney got arrested, and our mayor got arrested, and our police chief got arrested, and it's all related to the Fusion Center, which is tracking everyone illegally for their violations of their constitutional right to privacy and other things. And they're saying that multiple car accidents were intentionally staged to get the people to back down. And now they're all indicted for that. And now Everything that's unraveling in New York, we would hope to unravel in Connecticut.
Yeah, it almost would be. I think it's an accurate statement, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's an accurate statement to suggest that a lot of the BS, for lack of a better term, right now that we see in New England, like in New York, even just outside of New England, in New York or elsewhere in the nation for that matter, starts right here in Connecticut. It seems like the dirty, gooey little paws, the fingerprints of our wonderful esteemed senators like Chris Murphy, Blumenthal, Delorio, that the mad lady from 101 Dalmatians. Every step of the way, when you look at things, it seems like Connecticut's got some sort of involvement.
Well, look here. See this caller of yours, Mary Bagnashi?
Yeah, Bagnashi.
She is on fire with her comments. And
oh, I know. She's got some very. I think
she keeps quoting problems with the Administrative Procedures Act. Well, there's 23 judges now with capias writs in the Stamford Superior Court by average Joes saying, hey, I witnessed this judge commit a felony, and this is what they did. And when you get right down to it, now there are multiple habeas corpuses that have never been addressed. Some of them are a year old, and those are supposed to be require a hearing. We're doing the whole online unconstitutional.
We're going to have Mary up here. I thought you two know each other or knew each other or
Maybe
had correspondence in the past. I could be mistaken because I talk to so many people. But Mary is definitely somebody that...
And the judiciary used against me as a political weapon to attempt to destroy me by Senators Blumenthal, Murphy, Congressman Hayes, governors. Yes. Hey, I'm in the same boat as you, Mary, so...
Yeah, Mary is the real deal. In fact, you could find her on Facebook. If you know, I think she has that same name right there for her Facebook profile. I would encourage you to go ahead, look her up, and try to connect. She can.
We forced Patrick Carroll out.
Right. Well, that's what they say publicly, but behind the scenes, it would seem like he's still running the show.
No, there's another lady in there now.
Oh, that's another development. See, like, there's so much to pay attention to. Just in a short period of time, you could fall behind on important details like that. But last I knew, publicly, Patrick Carroll did step down, but behind the scenes, he was still in the workings someplace. You know, and that's from a good source.
Can I talk to you about this?
What?
Sorry to interrupt.
What?
But I had mentioned this to you about the town attorney, who is the town attorney for Suffield, Connecticut. Okay?
Who's that?
And I got the letter right in my hand that I officially received from him. He was the only one that made sure I got this letter. But I'm going to read the letter right out loud. His name is Derek E. Donnelly, Esquire. This letter is dated April 30th, 2019, which we all know and the town knows that they were written up about this building, and they never did anything about it. And I think this is what this letter is about. To Kenneth H. Collins, Eden Technologies, 11 Kenny Roberts Memorial Drive, Unit 3, Suffield, Connecticut. Okay? Remember, that's where I've been. That's where my company is. It's not up and running in my house. Okay? You could never put that kind of equipment in a house anyway. It would fall right through the floor. It's all in storage. We very well know that. Dear Mr. Collins, I am responding on behalf of the town of Suffield. Over the last several months, the town of Suffield has reviewed numerous health and wellness concerns at 11 Kenny Roberts Memorial Drive. After a careful review by the building department in consultation with the North Central District, no health and safety issues were discovered that would warrant the town intervention. To the extent those issues persist, which they all know they do, to the extent that issues persist, those concerns are best addressed with your landlords. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. The town, the landlord told the building department that if they go in my building, that he will sue them, okay, for going in my building, which is a commercial building, because what they definitely did was try to cover this up, okay, along with insurance. See, I pay insurance, okay? I had all insurance on everything inside my facility. My insurance wasn't going to pay me, which rightfully so they weren't, until that building was fixed and safe for us to be in that building. Okay? That's what they got written up for. Totally understand that. Okay? I never back down. I will submit to none of their garbage. The ductwork should have came down. There are gas pipes up on the roof of the building, the actual roof, which is a severe code violation, okay? Sitting on top of green lumber, okay? The Havoc systems leak. They're on top of the building, okay? The Havoc company that used to come in all the time and do all the testing and everything, they refuse to do business with them anymore because they weren't fixing anything, and the landlord tried to make it look like they were coming back to the building all the time, but they weren't. The taxes on the building, okay, my personal taxes I pay myself, but under triple net, okay, tenants pay their taxes on that building. We all paid it. I always wrote those checks out separate to them, all right? They got paid for it. You don't go pocket the money. The same way with the insurance that was supposed to be on the building, okay? We all paid for that too, plus our own private insurance for the internal stuff, okay? Their insurance should have taken care of me and for all the damages. And this is what this lawyer should have been going after.
You know, Ken, I got a question. Where in the hell?
Suing me.
Ken, listen to Tim's question.
Where is the fire marshal for you in all of this? Usually, I mean, anyone who knows anything knows, like, the fire marshal is someone that you never mess with. And if he's aware of a problem and has told you to address it and you don't, you're in a world of hurt, man. So all of this kind of begs the question, where the hell is the fire marshal and what has he done for you?
Well, when it went to housing court, okay, I had told my attorney to get on the phone with all these people, all right? And his answer to that was, well, what good would it do to go to the police? Or what good would it do to go to the fire marshal? Because they would have been in housing court and they would have ended this case, okay? He knows he's screwed up and he can't admit it.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Do you hear this, folks? I mean, this is pretty wild. Mary, if you'd be so kind, can you send me your email address? Can you put it up in public chat or text it to me or email it to me at tyrantslayerstudios@gmail.com? I'm going to go ahead and pass your email address over to our dear friend here, senatorial candidate John Flynn right there. Yes, sir.
Question. You see, I see Mary made a comment about the Connecticut Superior Appellate and Supreme Court refuses to apply for a Connecticut grand jury investigation. Well, we filed 2 grand jury motions for grand jury in the 5G case in Connecticut. We have 26 defendants. We just added Chuck Schumer. We have Jimmy Paul, we have Bob Duff, we have Anwar, we have we have Needleman, we have Simmons, we have the most important person in the state, Gillette. I don't know if you know who Gillette is, but she's not only the #1 cybersecurity state employee, she is also the CFO of Pura. Now, Pura, I believe, hacked the Connecticut 2020 election.
PURA is an acronym for those of you at home. PURA is Public Utilities Regulatory Authority.
Right. So my question to Mary is basically, when I had a problem getting a grand jury, and I'm still having a problem getting a grand jury, we have applied through the court. I asked the court for instruction. They gave it to me, and they said the only way to get a grand jury in the state of Connecticut is to file for a motion through a federal case. So that's exactly what I did. Now we're waiting for a response, and Judge Meyer is the judge. Judge Meyer has problems in that he's a Yale professor, and Yale is a defendant. And then Judge Meyer has other problems that he has a signed confidentiality agreement with defendant Blumenthal.
So that's a conflict of interest, and he needs to immediately recuse, which is going to set the case back.
We've already recused about 5 judges, so there's no judges left.
So what happens?
We're stuck to deal with a judge with a conflict of interest.
Oh, that can't happen. Is there a higher court at this point that you can go to and kind of illustrate the situation and say, hey, we can't proceed in this?
Do you really want to go to court in New York?
No, maybe D.C. would be a better place. Why don't we just go to Washington, D.C. and get the big dogs and bring all these little peons from their little snake pit Superior Court places, their big palace and Superior Court nonsense land, bring them up to the real world. Let's bring them up into federal court, into district courts. Let's get them out of Connecticut.
Mary, I love you, and I don't even know you.
Oh, well, you guys are definitely going to hit it off.
To be able to have a discussion over the phone with Mary about this.
Yeah, well, the 4 of us, it would make a great panel discussion. It would be great to have you on, Ken. It's a shame that you got the...
Mary, will you be on my grand jury?
Oh, well.
That would be interesting.
I just found your Valentine, Mary. It's a little late, but better late than never.
One of the things I do want to bring up, gentlemen, is the fact that my attorney was told by the chief of police in Suffield, Connecticut, to get a restraining order against the owners of the building and their attorney up in Massachusetts to have 0 contact with me. My attorney never did that. None of them did that, and they should have.
Well, Connecticut hasn't learned its lesson as far as...
And one big thing I want to bring up, and it is a fact, we have very severe mold and VOC laws in this state. That is a fact. I would go through anybody with them, and so my environmental company does not do remediation, okay? And there's a reason for that, okay? The other thing on the other side of the fence, as far as that goes, you can check it anytime you want. Commercial buildings come under the same standards as all schools in this country, never mind just Connecticut. and they have to go by those rules, okay? I had a sign on my door for people that were going to come in the front door to come in the back door of the building. That sign was constantly on the door, along with the citation of what was wrong in the office. Okay? Everybody knew about it. I lost wonderful customers because I told them the truth, that your material coming into my building, okay, if something was to happen to it, I lost my liability insurance because they did not fix the problem that they were cited to fix. They went against it. They did not cooperate like they were supposed to. So more or less what they did is they had put me out of business, slandered my name, same way with the attorney. This case was never judged by the judge yet. It is still in prejudgment remedy, and they went and put it in the Law Tribune that the judge ruled against me, and the judge did not. The judge ordered this case to go all the way back 30 months to bring everything out, which I have done. And I don't know how these people are going to answer to this judge because they continually try to hide this. I get collection letters from them on a monthly basis. They are not a collection agency. That is a law in Connecticut now, as noted with what the podcast that was done yesterday. All right? Every one of those people that signed off on that right there, along with all the mold stipulations and everything, they all need to come forward and understand these are the laws they put in place, and they have to be abided to, okay?
Well, we're behind you 100%. I'd like to, while I have you here,
Small business advocate in this state. He was an outstanding person. When you contacted him, he was at your building and he went through things. He had a direct contact right to the governor. No questions asked. But supposedly they couldn't afford. The reason that they couldn't afford to pay him anymore is because he was doing his job and he was bringing all these things out. But the state of Connecticut decided that they couldn't afford him, which we can all look at that, and the way I look at that, it's just a bunch of garbage, because that was one of the best things that happened. And that also helps out a lot of small businesses, job shops that do tons of work on this stuff. And of course, the little guy always gets screwed because it's easier to go after them for doing nothing wrong than it is to go after the big guys that are causing these problems because they don't have the staff to take care of it.
So there you have it, folks.
You want to open up a job shop in Connecticut. Think about it.
We'd love to get you on, actually read over some of what's on the docket. If you're available sometime later this week, we can coordinate doing that together. John, it would be great for you to join us again. And if possible...
Like I said, my DNS ain't running right now. I'm going to have to deal with this because I'd like to know why it went down, because it shouldn't have. And
Well, what's funny about that is I was set to go live and expose a powerful case, I'd say the equivalent to yours in its severity. And about an hour and 15 minutes before live time, or a couple hours before live time, my whole internet connection went down. And I didn't have internet, couldn't restore internet without a tech for damn near 3 weeks. You know, they're like, oh, we'll credit your account like $27, you know. So I'm fighting with them over, you know, my losses.
Internet is famous for that. So isn't Comcast. Okay, they screw up, and it's your fault.
Yeah, Comcast has some of the worst customer service in the nation. It's a whole nother topic of discussion. I would like to coordinate with Miss Bagnashi and see if maybe the four of us can't get together next time. Granted, your internet is working. We will coordinate and plan around that.
That's what I'm going to be playing with today.
Perfect.
I'll be calling John immediately.
Perfect. And I have your number. I'll definitely be following up with you. My audience is very interested in what's going on. The reception here has been good today. It's just a matter of getting the video out. So, folks, you know what to do. Shadow banning is real. Deprioritization is a tremendous problem for truth tellers and content creators alike. So please organically share these links to the farthest reaches of the internet and the lightest and darkest corners. Share it with your friends, your family, especially if you're here in the state of Connecticut, the very fine racketeering Nazi socialist nanny police state of Connecticut. You know, it's our job to be the checks and balance. Andy Pritchard says it all the time, and I don't know anyone who can say it more eloquently. Which, by the way, reminds me, we are going to be following up on the Andy Pritchard story. We had some content prepared for you, but we've hit the brakes on that for one reason or another, and that's quite all right. There's still plenty of ways and points of light to key in on and blast off from in telling this story, and we will continue to do that. We're going to try to get Andy on. We're going to try to bring you again Al Cuzio, a great legal mind here in the state of Connecticut who's helped a lot of families, a lot of people. These are both men I've met through the pleasure of meeting and working closely with John through his U.S. Senatorial campaign. And, you know, I'm blessed to have met such great people, blessed to have brought Mary here with us today, blessed to have talked with Ken. And we're going to be blessed to bring you a hell of a lot more on all of this and more. So stick with us. Next time, we'll have a more organized sort of show. You know me, I like to fire from the hip here and just roll with things, and that's quite all right. John, if you'd like to say anything in closing, point people into any direction, your Twitter page, anything you got going on.
Let me do that.
Yeah.
Briefly, the Connecticut election fraud case is in full swing. Truthfully, we'll be appealing it to the Supreme Court. We've proven, basically, that Georgia was hacked by Connecticut, swing state Pennsylvania, swing state Wisconsin. Vermont was won by Trump, hacked by Connecticut. Massachusetts, hacked by Connecticut. South Carolina, North Carolina, Oklahoma.
Now, these on the surface seem to just be bold, sort of nefarious.
Don't even say that, Tim, because it's
right. Now, I want you to explain how. I want you to explain how to the average person who has no idea about any of this, how it's been proven, like where things are at. Like, what do you
go on Twitter?
Right. Where can they find this stuff? Perfect.
On Twitter.
On Twitter. Okay. And where can they find this stuff on Twitter? Is there a way for them to look you up? How do they find you on Twitter, for example?
I think I'm at J Flynn for U.S. Senate on Twitter.
Let's try to get a link up for the folks here.
But, like, for example, if you look at the data, okay, Fairfield, Connecticut hacked 2 different states. Meriden, Connecticut hacked South Carolina. New Milford, Connecticut hacked Missouri. Danbury hacked the state of Pennsylvania. Colchester, Connecticut hacked Oklahoma. Kentucky was hacked. Vermont was hacked. Mississippi was hacked. Reading, Connecticut hacked Iowa. I have all the data. I have the IP address. I have the links. I have the GPS coordinates
Right.
of the hack.
And I want that to be clear. That data, that's server data that's recorded internally on a server, which is a piece of hardware where all of this.
Don't say it's been bounced around. You can't prove where it's from, because that's not true.
Well, no, I'm not. I don't know where that's coming from. What I'm saying is there's concrete evidence found on servers. I mean, and there is things called IP spoofing. I mean, you just made me think of that. But and there are VPNs and things like that. But yeah, it's when you mask the identity of the hardware using a fake IP address. It's called IP spoofing. It's commonplace for.
No.
Yeah, it's commonplace in emails. So, like, if I want to,
Japan, and Nagasaki, Japan, and Beijing, China.
If I want to spoof,
let me say something. When they come through a back door, it's not funny.
Okay, so when I want to spoof an IP address, if I want to conceal the identity of my computer's internet protocol address, that can easily be done. It's been done for decades. Okay, I'm not saying that the information Johnny has been spoofed. Johnny seems to be very defensive about this. It's a very sensitive issue for a lot of people. I'm not dismissing Johnny's claims. I'm not endorsing Johnny's claims. I'm just talking about the information. Johnny has information from servers that definitively proves that connections are made, logins are happening, and Andover, Connecticut, or whatever town in Connecticut is actually hacking, connecting to other servers and manipulating data relevant to our elections. That's really happened. But as far as IP spoofing, you can absolutely spoof an IP address. There's virtual private networks. There's all sorts of encryption techniques. You can simply set up a what's it called? A proxy. You can set up a proxy. A lot of cheaters in online gaming for years have done this, and you can operate from a proxy and conceal your identity that way. So. It does raise the question, is this server data that people can find on Twitter? I'm trying to find Johnny's Twitter handle here so you guys can go check out that information at your leisure. Let's see here. That information could be spoofed, but from what we can tell so far, it is definitive. So. Let's see. Sorry, I apologize for the dead air here. There he is. It's I'll go ahead and put it in the chat to find John Flynn on Twitter. And look at the information he's revealing there regarding the election and that data. You're going to search at J. Flynn for U.S. Senate. Just like this. J. Flynn for U.S. Senate. There you go. You could find a plethora of good stuff on here. He's got some stuff here on Freedom of Information Act between parents and students and arrest. He's very active on Twitter. I would encourage my viewers to go check him out. Unfortunately, he's a little sensitive when it comes to talking about this topic, and seem to be in a very defensive posture at the mere mention of IP spoofing and server data. I don't know. But I'm not going to allow him or anybody else talk over me on my own show. Sorry. Better luck next time or on somebody else's show. And with that, I bid to you farewell. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. As always, be well, be swell. Take no guff from the swine. And continue on in the good fight for transparency, accountability, and liability. We'll see you next time. Quick rundown in the chat, actually, before I just sign off. Let's not be rude here. Thank you, John Speedway, Mary Bagnashi, Mr. John Denicola. I hope I'm saying that right. D. Johns, Rachel N., of course, Ken Collins, thanks for being here. Of course, Johnny Flynn, thanks for being here. T.Y. Gockley, thank you so much for being here and your audience participation today. Who else? Anybody? Am I missing anyone? Rachel N. News Now CT, thanks for coming in. Thanks for your audience participation. That's it, folks. Share these links for me. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, set that notification bell to all. That way you know anytime we're going live or uploading, publishing new content. You get it as soon as possible. You get a nice little notification on any and all devices. So, with that said, ciao for now. We're out.